Whenever I learn something new, I always feel really excited. I really love sharing new things that I learn with people. Like, for instance, I heard on a podcast the other day that if you know someone that knows someone that smokes, you are 15% more likely to smoke. Unverified fact. But what makes me feel really genuinely excited about life and like my mind is expanding is actually implementing the stuff that I've learned, which is the part that's really easy to avoid. James Clear, who I feel like I could have been best friends with in another life, posted this on Twitter. Everybody already knows that is not the same as everybody already does that. And it spoke to my soul. You don't need more information, you need to do the work. It's so easy to watch something, read something, listen to something and think, oh, there's nothing new here. Like, I've heard this all before. But the thing is, are you actually doing anything with the stuff that you're learning? Especially if you are in the personal development world. So in this video, I want to talk about more purposefully consuming information and actually using the information that you read in books, learn in podcasts, or that you learn through the courses that you take. Putting things into action rather than just being a kind of information junkie. So firstly, when you learn about something, be all in, not half in, not like a little bit like, ooh, we'll see what that's about in, but literally all in when possible. It's so easy to pick up a book that everyone's talking about, like I do this. I'm talking to myself here too, you guys. For example, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. You might read it, feel a little bit inspired, then not do anything to change your space or change your life. I know a lot of people who've done that. You probably know a lot of people who've done that, not just for The Life-Changing Magic, but for any other book. On the other hand, I know a lot of people who have picked up The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, implemented it to a T, created a course based on it, really turned it into real world action and completely changed their life. That book has totally changed lives, but it's also sat at the bottom of a lot of bookshelves unused and skimmed through once. So rather than half-heartedly consuming a lot of information about a variety of topics, choose to purposefully consume less information about a specific set of topics. Pick one book to read at a time, one course to go through at a time, and don't move on until you've actually implemented what you've learned in that book. So that's a really grand, like kind of high level piece of advice. So let's dive into some more actionable specific tips. So firstly, try setting a theme for your month or for your year. So at the start of the year, I did a Reset Your Life challenge, which you can go through at any time of the year, by the way, not just New Year's. I'll have it linked down below. I went through the process of setting a theme for my year, so my theme is freedom. Before I read the most popular self-development book at the moment, I can ask myself, okay, well, does that really in line with what I want out of this year, which is freedom? If I implement the advice in that course, will I feel freer? Before you decide to consume a book, course, whatever it may be, a learning opportunity, decide what you're going to evaluate that against before taking it on. A theme is a really good, like easy to remember way to evaluate any new opportunities that come your way, but you can also do the same thing in the form of evaluative questions. So will this book help me to feel the way that I want to feel right now? Or does this book contribute to my overarching vision that I've set for my life? Learn how to better face your current challenges, not your potential future challenges or challenges that simply don't exist in your life. Just-in-time learning is one of the best kinds of learning because you are far more likely to implement the advice that you are reading about or consuming. The why is so strong that you can't actually deny it. So for example, when I wanted to put together my content calendar for Michelle B and for Channel Notes, the first thing I did was went onto Skillshare and I found a content calendar creation course. There was a strong need to put together a content calendar. I had a course there to follow, and it made it a lot more likely that I was going to follow through and implement what I had learned. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is a learning community with over 25,000 courses in things like design, business, entrepreneurship, watercolor, drawing, all of the things. Premium membership gives you unlimited access so you can join communities and classes and all of the things that are available on Skillshare. It's a platform for you if you want to fuel your curiosity, your creativity, or even your future career. Like I said, one of the classes that I did was the creating a content calendar. So any content creators out there, definitely check that one out. Made me think a lot more about creating a more purposeful calendar for you guys. Skillshare is also super affordable. You can join for less than $10 a month on an annual subscription, and the first 500 people to use the link in the description down below will get their first 2 months for free. So sometimes it is really tempting to learn all of the ins and outs of, for example, how to communicate better, which is an excellent thing to learn. Really, at any point in time, it's going to be really interesting for you to pick up that book or do that course, but it's going to be much more compelling for you to implement the information that you've learned if you're just about to have a really tough conversation with your boss or your colleague. The easiest thing to do is to read a bunch of nonfiction books that are all about stuff that you're not in the midst of. Reading a book about habits when you're not actually implementing any new habits in your life. Reading a book about goal setting when you have no intentions of setting any goals anytime soon. So figure out what you're actually currently struggling with and what you can learn to help you to get through that more effectively. Learn about that topic and not that shiny new topic over there. Go on an information diet. The more voices that you listen to, the more confusing your path is going to be. Imagine if you are trying to change your relationship with food. You have no knowledge or pre-existing strong opinions about food or exercise, diet, whatever. In front of you, you have 3 different books: How Not to Die by Michael Greger, Keto for Beginners, and The Carnivore Diet, which is meat only. You are going to be left so freaking confused. You'll read them, every author will sound very convinced of what they're preaching, yet they're all saying completely different things. But if you cut out 2 books from that pile and focused on just the one that resonated with you the most, the internal conflict would be gone and you'd be able to move forward more easily. Far more likely to take action. You can look at this relating to pretty much any change that you want to make in your life. So rather than pinning 20 new articles on Pinterest that look really interesting about how to start a blog, find one person who seems like an expert at how to start a blog and follow their advice to a T. Depending on where you're at in your journey, you may be at a point where you could have more than one person that you listen to, but if you're just starting something and it's all overwhelming, pick one person and just go for it with just their information. Decide how you are going to be an action taker. So maybe after every book that you read, you create a mind map of every chapter in that book, highlighting all of the key points. Then you draw out little branches for the actions that you're actually going to take out of that book. Maybe before you get into any online course, you make sure that you print out the worksheets and that you set times for yourself when you're going to do that online course during the week. How are you going to take action after you read a book? How are you going to take action after you take a course? Creating some kind of system for different forms of information is going to make it a lot easier for you to take action because it'll just become a standard step-by-step process that you follow. And whatever you do, make sure that you have a bit of a consistent approach. That way, every time that you read a new book, you're not sitting there thinking, how am I going to approach it this time? And feeling a little bit confused and overwhelmed. Don't forget to check out Skillshare and what it has to offer. I'll have that link in the description down below. If you liked this video, you might like my video on the 5 books that changed my life. Those are 5 books that I read and took some serious action around. I appreciate you all so much and I will see you soon.